Last time on Hellraiser, Jadzia Dax, reporter lady, who isn't canonically a lesbian but we ship her with this goth girl anyway, investigates Pinhead and fights evil. Then in Hellraiser 4 we go to space and blow up the Hell Priest in a giant space cube! They were fine. Could have been worse. Anyway, let's talk about the next two movies. Hey kids, you like police procedurals? You like Silent Hill but wish it were lame? Are you guilty of adultery and want to be spanked by a leather-clad BDSM demon for being so naughty? Then what's wrong with you for liking Hellraiser Inferno, you sick fucking freak?
This is where Miramax really loses the plot on the Hellraiser franchise. It's unclear exactly where Clive Barker leaves the picture, but it is obvious that from here on out, he has less and less input in these movies, and it shows. Starting here, with the Scott Derrickson-directed Hellraiser Inferno, Hellraiser movies stop being about weird, kinky sex, and start being really moralistic and puritanical. For a franchise all about sex and the seduction of desire, it feels like a slap in the face to start punishing your characters for liking sex, like we're in Christian summer camp or something. Thou shalt not have BDSM sex in hell with sex demons. Instead, thou shalt be punished by reliving your shitty life on Earth for eternity. Or something. Scott Derrickson, you hack!
This movie is about an asshole detective that's a bad husband and father investigating crimes related to the puzzle box and crazy Pinhead murders. But then after running in circles chasing leads for 2 fucking hours, he realizes that the whole movie didn't happen and he was just in some kind of purgatory where Pinhead makes him feel bad for supporting sex workers and doing drugs. Things that Pinhead famously loves doing in the previous movies, but whatever, fuck you.
Although nobody will say this for sure, this is where we see another trope of the shitty Hellraiser sequels, along with the unlikable detective and or journalist protagonist. Pinhead just showing up in movies that don't really feel like Hellraiser movies, and really probably, but we can't confirm, started out as unrelated, generic, shitty 2000s horror scripts.
That's right, Jay.
And these two films we're talking about today are the Jacob's Ladder or Silent Hill knockoffs. You remember Jacob's Ladder, right? That really, really good supernatural horror drama about a, spoiler, Vietnam veteran struggling to accept his death in this weird purgatory and the surreal dream world that leads up to that. Except this is the shitty version of that. So it's just an unlikable main character walking around, navigating shitty jump scares for 2 hours, only to reveal at the end that everything we watch doesn't matter. Because this structure of story works much better as a character piece. Except the main character's unlikable and boring and has no arc. He doesn't learn anything, he doesn't accept anything. And also it's, like we said already, really weirdly moralistic. The twist at the end of the movie is that generic cop number 1 is cursed to relive his life over and over again, starting from the morning after he cheats on his wife with a sex worker.
This is the life you chose, Joseph. All the people you hurt, all the appetites you indulged.
Which is bad and wrong because this time it frames the acts that the characters do as the problem, and not their motivations.
You have destroyed your own innocence, allowed your flesh to consume your spirit.
Like we said in the first part, Hellraiser, when it was good, was all about showing the way that people's motivations lead them astray through sex. Sex itself is not the problem, but it is here. Pinhead should be tempting Detective Man and his wife into a threesome or some shit. I don't know. Toss some kinky hooks and knives into there. Come to daddy.
Please never say that sentence again.
Point is, whether Scott Derrickson meant it or not, this movie really comes off as weirdly regressive and judgmental of its characters for doing what they do. Besides, the experience of watching the movie is really frustrating because of the way the plotline that you follow throughout the whole movie, the ostensible crime drama element of it, is revealed to be a red herring and not what the movie is about at all. And that just ends up feeling like a waste of our time. And then Pinhead shows up at the end to condemn generic cop number 1 to eternal mediocrity, because hell is too interesting for what we see on screen, and then the movie just ends.
You can tell Doug Bradley and the entire Hellraiser connection was added at the last minute because he's in so little of this movie. And from what I can tell, every shot of him is on this same set. It's like he only filmed with them for one day and they just had to insert those clips all over the place to make you think he cared more than he did. Even Pinhead himself knew this was a shit show.
This is the movie that I hate the most out of any of these pieces of shit. Because more than any other movie that we have watched, this one feels like a waste of my time. The whole movie doesn't happen. There's no point to any of it. It's an exercise in pointless misery. And it's an insult to Clive Barker and Hellraiser to have any association to this piece of shit. Scott Derrickson, I know you're a creative guy and you've made some cool shit. I liked 1 or 2 scenes of Doctor Strange. But I can't forgive you for this. I can tolerate anything in a movie except my time being wasted. I'd like to spend some more time insulting this movie, but I don't want to really spend any more energy on it.
You said piece of shit like twice in that paragraph, damn.
I hate it that much! Anyways, let's move on to talking about the marginally better Jacob's Ladder knockoff, Hellraiser Hellseeker. Hellseeker ties with Hellworld for the least creative title in the series. Hellraiser, Hellseeker, Hellraiser, Hellworld, Hellraiser, Hellboy, Hell.
Hellraiser Hotel Hell stars Mayhem after another commercial gone wrong, trying to remember what the hell happened and where his wife was after she's gone totally missing. The police suspect he's involved in her disappearance, but he suspects something else is afoot. Something sinister! But rather than pry too much into it or investigate too hard, he just goes to work, and then sleeps with random women in his apartment block or whatever. Nothing happens for the whole movie again, just more of him going about his day and then seeing something creepy, doing a double take, and then realizing it wasn't there. Ooh, spooky! That totally doesn't lose its scariness when you've done it 80 times across 3 movies, especially if you have no idea what's going on. After a lot of fucking around, he winds up at the police station again as a suspect, and then runs into a morgue where Pinhead was returning texts and having a smoke break or something, and then randomly decides to reveal the truth to him about what's going on.
I told you you couldn't run from your past forever. Eventually it catches up with you, and you must atone.
So it turns out this whole time, once again like the last movie, the main character has been in hell being punished for what really happened. The final girl from the first 2 movies, Kirsty, played by Ashley Lawrence, was the wife of Mayhem.
I'm a teenage girl. My BFF Becky texts and says she's kissed Johnny. Well, that's a problem, because I like Johnny. Now, I'm emotionally compromised and whoopsies. I'm all, OMG, Becky's not even hot. And if you've got cut rate insurance, you could be paying for this yourself. So get Allstate. You can save money and be better protected from mayhem like me.
But he was just a shitty husband who cheated on her. He was gonna kill her for insurance money with his friend from work, I guess? I don't remember much, but Xavier says that's what happened. He opened the puzzle box to get rid of her, but then Kirsty made a deal with Pinhead to bring him 5 souls instead of her soul. She killed his mistresses and his friend, and now at the end of the movie, the last scene is her delivering her shitty husband's soul to Pinhead. Not that he'd be that much fun to torture anyways, because he's so boring, but whatever.
You were an interesting study. Lust, greed, deception, fertile ground, but rather mundane.
This ending is so completely different from the rest of the movie and almost becomes awesome. Reportedly, this ending was added from input from Clive Barker, because the studio was really trying to get Ashley Lawrence back, Halloween H20 style, but they weren't 100% sure of her availability when the film went into production, so it ended up being more of a cameo than a full-on role, even though the ending really makes the whole movie her story.
I used you, Trevor. You were nothing more than bait to lure a far more interesting creature.
And it's such a shame, because that could have been a really interesting movie. How Kirsty, who was the voice of purity and goodness in the first 2 movies, becomes cynical and jaded enough to sacrifice her husband's soul. That's good drama.
Is this what you want? I hope it's everything you want it to be.
But we don't see any of that for 2 hours, or however long this movie is, and then there's 5 minutes of good stuff at the end. What a letdown. If you let yourself imagine what could have been if that ending had been what the whole movie was like, then this would have been the best sequel. But you have to slog through 2 hours of nothing to get there, which is another shitty recurring pattern in the sequels. Nothing happening for 2 hours, and then Pinhead shows up and murders a couple of people, and then the movie ends.
Fuck.
Clive Barker has said that it's his favorite film in the series since the second one. But is that really saying that much?
It was his favorite because they let him have a say in it instead of just shooting him and kicking him out of a window like a RoboCop villain.
Actually, the director allegedly gave a work print of the film to Clive Barker without the Weinstein's approval for him to give notes. So, yeah, basically. Anyway, I'm done. I don't want to talk about this trash anymore. On to the next trash! Endless, overflowing tsunami of trash!
Come on, guys. It's just a game. A crazy fucking internet game.